Right, okay then. So here we are again. Geordie Star come here pre and post match. Absolutely fantastic venue. They've kitted out like Newcastle United. If you're a Newcastle fan, you definitely need to come. If you haven't been before, definitely check it out. Loads of cracking food, loads of great beers, great place to come. So check that out. Right. So we're here again with Adam P. We're going to do the transfer special for Newcastle United. Now, the transfer window, before we kind of get into it, what's going to happen, I just want to kind of touch up what has happened so far. So we have made a couple of fringe player signings, especially with goalkeepers. We've got Kelly, who maybe is a rotation thing, but the big one is the players that we've sold. So we've sold Anderson and we've sold Minte. Now, both of them have moved on to Premier League clubs, so we'll get to see this season exactly what we're missed out on. What were your thoughts selling them? Obviously, it's FFP, has to be done. It saved us maybe selling Bruno or Isaac. I was out speaking to Newcastle fans before the match at the weekend. They said it had to be done. They kind of understood and stuff like that. Do you understand, or are you furious, or how do you sit on it?
Well, we'll start off with Elliot Anderson because I think he's the more controversial, I would say, out of the two, as much as some people might disagree with that. I felt like Minter was always going to go out on loan at least, but because we needed to sell players and Minter's had an unbelievable season, I felt like no matter what, Newcastle were always going to sell him. So after Minter was sold, you then had to look over who's going to join him. Elliot Anderson surprised me somewhat. I think when I've seen a lot of people kind of discussing who could potentially go, the likes of Longstaff, Willock, those two pop up quite a lot. The reality of Anderson is that he won't be anywhere near the starting 11 this season. You've got to remember, Tonali is coming back, so that will feel like a new sign coming in. It was a weird one for us because they needed the PSR sales as well. So Vlachodimos came to us and Anderson went that way. So we essentially bought the goalkeeper for a heavily inflated price and they bought our player for a heavily inflated price.
Which is ridiculous, isn't it? This whole thing about you have to sell youth players. I mean, Chelsea's gone through it recently with Gallagher. It just seems... It was set up maybe for the right reasons, but it's just a farce at the moment. And football clubs kind of know how to get around it a little bit now. It doesn't seem fit for purpose.
Well, this is the punishment, in all honesty, because if, let's say, you take away any potential point deductions and you just fine a team instead, then teams are more lenient to not do that, which means it'll be better suited for the Premier League because teams won't be selling all our players. Well, we're lucky in this case if both the players went to Premier League clubs, but they won't be selling their players to the Saudi League and the Premier League won't be losing out on their best players. So, yeah, I know I'll be a bit biased saying that, but it's a farce for us. And especially we look at a team like Manchester United got these COVID payments that's prevented them from having a solid player. It is going to set me up in a minute. So, yeah, on the topic of that, yes, I think it's a farce. Newcastle have lost two young lads because of that, which they didn't want to lose. Especially Anderson. I think Eddie Howe was very keen on keeping him. On the flip side, though, with all due respect to Nottingham Forest, they're a team that you would expect over the next 2-3 seasons. I think will go down. They'll be one of the favourites this season outside the newly promoted teams. So straight away, if that happens, then I think Newcastle, if they wanted to, probably clap their hands and buy Eddie Anderson back. In all honesty, as much as you don't want to disrespect them, but I think it's a player you could see back in Newcastle one day. If the move happens, then I think it's realistic. It's something that could happen again. Obviously, I would much rather see him here and now, but the truth is, we've saw him. I don't necessarily mind it. I think he's our 7th or 8th choice at the minute, which is mad when you think about it. But truthfully, I think there's probably about 6 or 7 players that are going to be starting ahead of him.
Yeah, I mean, personally for me, I was shocked that we had to sell any players. I mean, we just qualified for Champions League. We just signed a massive kit deal with Adidas. We've just done all of these every single couple of weeks. You see Newcastle announcing some sort of partnership where you know it's big money kind of going in. It surprised me. It surprised me with Aston Villa again this season. They had to sell David Luiz and stuff like that. It's bonkers how you can qualify for the Champions League, which you know is absolute tons of money, and then you've still got to sell players. It boggles my mind. But if we touch on the name, the $1 million guy, Gehi. So we've went up and we've went up and we've went up and we've went up. I've just seen yesterday as well that Anderson, who's their other centre-back, they've agreed a £30 million move to Fulham. Does that mean the end of Gehi? Because you would imagine, I mean, I'm just trying to think, if you were Crystal Palace, you can't sell both of your centre-backs, can you? And expect a new centre-back duo to come straight in at the ground running?
No, at the time of the call, and it looks like Anderson is going to go to Fulham. No way in hell are they selling both centre-halves. It's just not happening. I think that's probably the negative, probably the main negative of the window I think Newcastle's had. We'll talk about the second main negative shortly, but I think there's 2 things that have held this window back. I know, especially we had to wait and see who Newcastle actually bring in now, especially out wide. I think out wide's a position that I'm a bit worried by because I haven't seen anyone linked there yet.
Is that right or is that left?
Right.
Right, okay, yeah.
But the problem Newcastle's had is that they've spent ages in game. For me, I felt like we should have walked away the second that Parish came out and all his interviews and started talking publicly about the transfer. Newcastle didn't do that. They went in with a 4th bid despite all that background drama. And I've never seen a transfer saga like that before, when the player's been public, the owner's been public. They just well and truly took the mick out of Newcastle, and the fact that we still went in with a 4th bid, I just didn't understand that. I knew we wanted the player. I knew it was a player at Newcastle. Felt like they heavily needed, but I don't think he's worth the 65, 70 million pound you're offering for him. I know you're getting a good player for that, but truthfully, you're basing it on a good half season he's had for Paris and an unbelievable tournament he's had for England, but you're basing it quite literally off one tournament. And if you're willing to dump, 70 million pounds on him, it's far too much. I think we've done the correct thing to walk away.
Have we walked away, do you think? It's obviously gone cold at the moment. You don't think it might come back later on? No?
I think we've walked away now. As I said before, the fact that Anderson's going to go to Fulham, they're not going to sell both centre-halves. They're just going to charge Newcastle even more money at that point. And the Fabian Shaw, red carbonats came and it hasn't helped our factor. I think that's probably going to put an extra couple £1 million in gear. I think Palace, again, will just look to take the mick out of Newcastle. Do I blame them? No. Would I do the same thing? Probably yes, I would. But Newcastle, we should have left earlier. And I think that's a negative. The fact we didn't leave after Parish came out of all those interviews, I think is definitely a concern. I don't know why we didn't walk away. I don't understand it.
Yeah, so have you got any alternative players in mind? Because, I mean, like I say, I was outside St James's, always speak to the fans and stuff like that. Tomori seems to be the name that kind of comes up on the fans' kind of wish list when we say a centre-back. Is there anyone that you've kind of got? We've been linked with about 6 or 7.
Well, I did actually. Well, at the start of the window, I had like my dream list of players I would sign. Tomori actually was my centre-half I had down. The other AC Milan centre-half as well, Fowler. I think he said that he wanted to stay at Milano. Mm-hmm. There was some in there where he said he wasn't wanting to leave, but both of them, Milan centre-halves are class. I think we've been linked with Sassoba, so the lad from Leverkusen. Everybody will want to bring in because Leverkusen were unbelievable. So here, but we'll bring any defender from that class team and you're looking good. The problem is, though, that they're on such a high. So how any Leverkusen player could even consider leaving Leverkusen at the minute is another question. So that's going to be a hard one to bring in. But if we do bring in someone like Sassoba, it would be an unbelievable option instead of Gay. As for our players, I've seen like a Charlback linked. Joe Gomez has been linked. He didn't play for Liverpool the weekend, so he's going somewhere. Oh no, I've got my eyes above my head, like, you know what I mean? we kind of think Joe Gomez in, can we? I mean, all due respect to the lad, he was good a couple of years ago, but from Gay, who you would rate as one of the best centre halves in the league at the minute, just dropping him all the way
English
down.
International now, who's probably fixed his place in there.
You would have thought, but nah, it's just. We need to say the top level centre half, and then we need to say a good winger. Whether we'll do that or not, it's another question. That will heavily depend, in my opinion, at the end of the window. But if we don't sign 2 players in those positions, I think we've had a bad window.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands at the moment, we've had a bad window because we've had more outgoings, really quality ones, than we've had ingoings. I mean, for me, Gahey, when it was starting to rise, I thought 65 million. As soon as I seen that, I was like, bear in mind we're restricted with how much we can spend. I thought that was far too much, considering we've got other problems and issues that we really need to probably focus on. Centre-back being the main one, I thought it was far too much. I would never pay that inflated 20 million probably on top just because he's had a good Euros. I would definitely look at alternatives. Tomori, definitely that. Thao as well, fantastic. And then I would spend the extra money possibly on a left-back and then possibly on right wing as well. I think they're probably the other 2 positions Left back, yeah. I mean, one of the things for me is obviously Lewis Hall. People forget he's only 19 as well. I mean, it was only 6 months ago when he couldn't get into the team. We were injury, crisis and stuff like that. He couldn't get in. I think he's going to have a great season, but it worries me when we're going to play against Liverpool, when we're going to have Salah, when we're going to have Saka, when we're going to have loads of these top world-class players going against them. I think he's possibly going to be the weak link at the moment, being 19 in that position. Obviously, Dan Burns is going to have to move over to centre-back, so we've only got him and really Target, who I'm not really a huge fan of at the moment. I would probably sell Target, and I would possibly try to take advantage of the Chelsea situation and maybe put a cheeky loan bid in for Chilwell, just to cheaply kind of fill that gap. Obviously, Chelsea are a club in crisis at the moment. They're going to need to offload a load of players because surely they can't survive on the wage budget. Is there anyone from Chelsea? We've seen Sterling kind of almost put a transfer request in. He's kind of done it without doing it. A few others. Is there anyone that you fancy from Chelsea?
Well, realistically, yeah, there are a few. To be fair, you can say a full team from Chelsea, the amount of players they've got available. In terms of ones that are sticking out, to be fair, I think you made a valid point with Chilwell, and yeah, I'll probably agree with Lewis Hall being so young, especially against the bigger teams in the league. It's going to be a tough ask for him. I still think Newcastle has a lot of cover there, though, because again, you've got likes of Livermore and Trippier. I know you wouldn't want to play them left back, but you have got a lot of players there. I think Kelly has probably been brought in they're potentially playing left back on quite a frequent basis. So I think we have got enough cover there for me to kind of leave it alone for this window. The winger's the important one, and the one that's been linked from Chelsea a lot is that Makedeli. I don't know too much about him, but a lot of people rate him. He has been linked a lot by the journalists, so it's clearly a player Newcastle themselves who they think is a potential option to bring in. So I guess I had to pick someone to be him, but I haven't watched enough of him, to be honest, so I couldn't really give you a clear, definitive answer on him.
No, he's been there only a little while as well. For me, every time I've kind of seen him in glimpses, he's looked really impressive. He seems to be really good one-on-one, got pace for days, and he's got a good kind of cross on him as well. The player who I kind of fancy is the one that, it was Dortmund, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but that Athenemi or whatever, the right back, got a bit of an afro. He seemed fantastic. Whether or not he would come and join when we haven't got Champions League or Europe, that's probably the big problem that we're going to have, trying to attract these elite sort of things. But if we've got a transfer budget of at least 65 million this window, because we've kind of shown my hand a little bit, if we go cheaper on a defender, I think we've definitely got budget, especially if we sell some players as well. So one of the things I want to touch on as well is players that we can sell. So these are players that have been linked so far over the summer with an exit, and how likely do you think that they are to possibly move on? So first one is Trippier. Now that's kind of died down a little bit. He had his house up for sale, people were saying he was definitely going to go at one stage. All died down. Obviously few weeks left of the window. How realistic do you think he might be moved on or not?
Well, I think he'll walk in a free next summer once his contract's up. So it was Newcastle's option now essentially to sell him in this window, which I think you're getting 10 to 15 million, but let's just say it's 10 million to make the argument easier. So let's say we're sold for 10 million pounds in this window. Newcastle has essentially gambled 10 million pounds. They've essentially went, well, do we think keeping Trippier here this season, having him in the dressing room, having to sort out everything, do you think that is worth 10 million pounds? So because of the fact he's going to most likely walk on a free next summer, Newcastle has essentially missed out on PSR sales, which will come back and bite us in the backside next summer because of the fact that we have a lot of players whose contracts are expiring. We can't sell a lot of this depth that we've got in the club. I think it's tricky to say because if Newcastle win a trophy, Newcastle get Champions League this season, then I'll probably pull my hand up and go, well, no, keeping Trippier was a good thing. But as it stands, I think it'll be a mistake. I think we should have sold him, no, honestly. I feel bad saying that because I love Trippier, I honestly do, but he's just not as good as he once was. He's lost the yards in his game. I think quality-wise, if you play him every week, he's going to make mistakes. You've seen it last season. He has cost us games. And I just don't think his head's there. Without getting into his personal life, there's quite a lot going on. I don't think his head's been all there at the minute. So if you can sort that out, then well, good. But the reality is, I think Newcastle's missed out on a good £10 million, and I think that money is big for PSR, and I think we've made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, Trippier for me, it depends on what day of the week he catches, saying whether he should leave or not. I think he's definitely one of the best fullbacks we've ever had at the football club. We put a post out on our social page, Newcastle Supporters Worldwide. We asked fans who's the best fullback. Everyone pretty much said Trippier as well. He has probably seen the better of his career and stuff like that. He probably does deserve to stay. But then if you catch us on a Saturday after he's just made a mistake, I'll shout at the telly, oh, we need to sell him and stuff like that. It really depends on what day of the week you see us. If we did sell him, I think that's fine as long as we're recouping stuff. I know he's on big wages and stuff like that. So if he goes, that's fine as long as we get a replacement. But he's definitely fantastic to have around and stuff like that. Next up, who's been linked with a move, even though it wasn't really a big money move, was Miggy. So it was a kind of the crap offer that came in. I knew as soon as it was a USA club, we're never going to get big money. It was surprised me that they wasted their time coming over just to bid that. I mean, he's a Champions League player now. He's an established Premier League player. He can score goals and stuff like that. I don't even think he would go to MLS, even if it was a decent offer. Do you see, because obviously we've got Saudi with every single club and stuff like that, there's always links. Do you think Miggy might be moved on? Because you mentioned right wing. Does that a signing coming in mean it's definitely going to have to ship him off?
From what the journalist said about that transfer, that one concerned me a little bit as well, because according to the journalists, they said that Newcastle had actually accepted the fee, but Miggy wanted higher wages. So on the player's side of things, he's essentially caused a bit of drama. But Newcastle's accepted like a £7 million bid or something. Like, why would they do that? I know a lot of people watching ours be saying Miggy's crap. That's fine, but especially in January, a Saudi Arabian club went in for him. It would have been good money from a Saudi Arabian club. It is possible that we can get good money for him. I don't think Miggy himself wants to move to Saudi Arabia, which is why I think it's been a bit awkward trying to sell him. But He's still got stats there where you can look at it and go, well, actually, well, yes, might have been a pivotal patch, but he still has scored over 10 goals in the Premier League season. He still has played Champions League football. I still think there's a team out there that will put £10 million in for him. And then the argument against me is that, well, why has the team not done that? So it is tricky, to be fair, to Newcastle, but I think there's value in him. I think there is some value in him. If you're not getting over £10 million, I think you should be keeping him. As much as I would probably love to see him go, because I feel like it is the right time to sell him. However, I think there's value in the player. So if you sell him for less than £10 million, I can't say I agree with it. And I think selling to Charlotte for £7 million, I wouldn't agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, Murphy for me is possibly even jump frogged him. I mean, obviously Miggy was a regular. I think he's had a fantastic pre-season, Murphy. If we're judging the first game of the season, which is all we've got to go on, he started ahead of him. Victim of the red card, he had to come off early. But it seems like he might have leapfrogged him. So definitely, I think, if an offer comes in, I would probably say a little bit more, maybe 12, 13, something like that. But it's only 2-3 million. I would probably look at moving him on. Then we've got someone as well, and we've got a kind of list here as well of players who are in the last 12 months of their contract, and Wilson is one of them. He's obviously been linked with a move. Do you think he'll let his contract run out, or do you think that we'll try to get rid of him in this window? He's obviously got his injury record. That's what everyone knows Wilson has, but he can get goals.
Well, I think that's what screwed Newcastle over a little bit in terms of selling his senior players, because you can't sell Wilson because he's injured, which has forced Newcastle's hands somewhat to potentially sell like to Trippier and Amram, which hasn't even happened anyway. But in terms of Wilson, the thing is with him, he's older, yes, but he's still quite good when he does actually play. So in his case, since we're not going to get much money for him anyway because he's a bad injury record, I would kind of be lenient to say, well, you know what, 1 year, just give him a 1 year contract. He's the sort of player as well that I think probably would stick around. I would like to hope anyway. I feel like he's at that stage in his career. He'd be a bit similar to Trippier, but I think Trippier still is that sort of player that is willing just to go somewhere like Saudi Arabia for a payday. I think a guy like Wilson, you kind of knows that he's not going to start for any big teams anymore. I think at Newcastle, I like to think if we offer him a 1 year extension, he probably would take it. I think the money's going to be good for him. He will still get some game time. And I do like Wilson. His injury record's just killed his career, though. He could have done so much more. It's a shame because he is quality. He is very good when he plays. However, the more he gets injured, I think in terms of technical ability, the more for him, he will slow down a lot more in his game. He'll not be as good. But I like to hope Newcastle offer him an extension. I think we will. And just whether he takes it or not is another question. But I'm more lenient to say that Wilson would accept over Trippier. I think Trippier would go, and I think Wilson could stay if you offer both of them a new contract. So we'll see how things go. But it's just a lot of questions in the air.
Well, I mean, questions for me is I would possibly look to sell him if a decent bid comes in. I know he can get goals, but it's that injury record. We need someone, if Isak does pick up an injury or needs to come off, we need someone there who's able to come on. If Wilson's still going to be injured for so many months, it's a big problem. Plus that new striker that we signed, that young lad, looked at his goal scoring record and stuff like that. He's not at that level that we would kind of need. So I think Wilson might just positively for him fall between the cracks, because if we've only got so much budget to play around with, obviously centre-back's a priority. Mentioned right wing like a lot of Newcastle fans. Then up possibly left back. I think second striker, that would be the fourth or fifth down the line of priorities. So for me, even if he does let his contract run out this season, we'll have more budget to spend next season. It might just fall very nicely for him staying at the club. Next, we've got Ashby. Now, rumours yesterday were that the club has put him up for potential transfer. They would listen to offers, they said, for a sale. Obviously, we've not seen much of him in a Newcastle top. He was supposed to be Trippier's protege coming through. Have you seen much of him? Are you surprised that he's up for transfer?
Well, he was kind of meant to be like the Livermore almost, where he's going to come in, he's going to be someone that gradually over time, as you said, be the protege for Trippier. He's supposed to be a player that's maybe in and around our squad now. He's nowhere near that quality, is he? Let's be honest. He was out on loan at Swansea last season. From what I've heard, I thought he did all right. And then he got injured at one point, I believe, if I remember correctly. So I feel for the guy somewhat, because it's, I think, in terms of what he's meant to do when he comes to Newcastle, it's such a short period and you've got to do well because of where the club's going. So he hasn't been able to kick on as well as expected. Yeah, I think you'll find a club somewhere easy enough. I don't think we're getting much money for him. And I mean, you can't really blame Newcastle for, because they only spent up a couple £1 million and you can probably sell him for around that amount anyway. So it's not like we've lost massive money on him, but it just hasn't worked out. I think we'll probably loan him again, if we're going to be honest now, and I think he'll go next summer on a permanent move somewhere else, and hopefully we can make the money back that we've lost on him.
Yeah, and then we've got Target. Hasn't been linked with any clubs just yet, but the next few, I'm going to kind of group him in, as harshly as it is, with the kind of disposable player sort of thing. Do you see that move kind of coming later on in the window? Someone sniffing around?
I actually like Target. I know you said you're on Keenan, which is fair enough, but I thought he had a very good loan spell for us, and he, of course, was signing permanent. Form wasn't all there, and then we got a whole injury, and that's kind of what's been the problem for him. He just keeps picking up injuries, but I think a bit of consistent time. Listen, Target's got quality. There's a reason why we signed him in the first place. Like, it's not like he's always been bad. He has got some quality there. I think if he was to get a good few games under his belt, if he can just stay fit, I think he'll be decent. But whether that happens or not is another question. But no, I kind of back Target somewhat. But in hindsight, though, we probably shouldn't have signed him in hindsight, because we've signed about 3 left backs since that. So if I was someone that had a time machine, I would go back and make sure we didn't sign Target. But truthfully, we didn't know at the time. Since that, we've been Holding, been Livermento in, we've been Kelly in. So realistically, no, I wouldn't have signed Matt Target, but it's happened. Newcastle probably need to try and offload him. It's just too so many left backs there now. I like Target, though. I do like him.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't dislike him massively. I just think he's average. I think if we're going for top 6, top 4, I think he's one of the players, kind of like Miggy, all right players, but you kind of need an upgrade on them. So, I mean, Dan Burn, his former left back, the last few times I've seen him, I'm not impressed with. So I think he's probably nailed down the position, maybe just behind Hall, just in case anything does happen. I think we should definitely keep Dan Burn as centre back. But for me, he left, I think it was Aston Villa, wasn't it? Because he became second choice. He then come to Newcastle. He was first choice for a little while. Exactly the same thing happened. He becomes second choice. I feel a bit sorry for the lad. He's had stop-start career is probably the best way to describe it. I would probably look at moving him on only if we can upgrade. If we don't get a left-back replacement, I think definitely keep him. He can do a job. But that's one of the positions I think we kind of need an upgrade on. So next one, I'll try to keep your blood pressure down for this one, imagine, is Fraser.
God.
Just a guarantee, get rid of him, because I mean, he's got 1 year left on his contract. I kind of, as the way I understand it at the moment with Southampton, is they don't want to put a permanent bid in because they know Newcastle are desperate to get rid of him. They put a loan bid interest in. They kind of want him on the cheap, really. They know there's not too many others sniffing around. They know he wants to stay, and they probably know Newcastle, because he's not fancied at Newcastle, are not going to get a big transfer fee.
Well, basically what Southampton want is, they know they're going to get him on a free next summer, but they kind of want not to pay the 100% wages, so they go to Newcastle. We'll loan him this season. You guys don't have to pay the full wage. You pay most of it, we'll pay some of it, and it'll be better off for you, because otherwise you're keeping them for the full season, which, to be fair, Southampton, you aren't wrong, but they can get stuffed after the weekend. I can't be arsed with Diaz, can't be arsed with Southampton. They can wait a year, they can get him at the end of the summer. If Fraser has to sit there in the under-21s, you can sit there in the under-21s. I've had enough of his crap now.
A lot of wages, though. That's the
it
only
is. Yes, that's Mike Ashley's fault with his stupid 6-year contract. I mean, Hayden's still got. He's not even his last year. He's got 1 more year after this. He's not even in that list. I know he's not. He's got another year. It's ridiculous. But in terms of Fraser, I mean, he was a free signing, so you kind of got what you expect for a free signing. Massive disappointment though, because he was unbelievable when he was at Bournemouth. This hasn't happened. I think he'll go to Southampton next summer. In terms of now, I think Newcastle will probably try and blackmail him, or do something where they try and force him out somewhere, or they just try and get rid of him. Ideally, just get rid of him now on a free. Just someone, just like Southampton. Why would they not take him on a free? Just because they know they don't have to pay his wages if they want to loan him instead. So yeah, Southampton gets stuff. Just give him on a free to someone else.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we do some of the work for his agent and try to pimp him out, sort of thing. I think Saudi and everything, just let everyone know he is available. So we got Hayden next. He's on massive wages. I mean, I've got a little bit of a soft spot for him. I loved him in the Championship. I thought he was fantastic. He has had a lot of injuries since then, though, and I'm thinking, can he kind of even come in as a substitute? Big injuries when he was out at Norwich and stuff like that. I'm always fearful when a player has a big injury, kind of like Kaiser, who we're being linked with and stuff like that. The injury record, will it just damage him? And is he no longer Premier League at all?
I could have swore Hayden has 2 years left. I swear he's got another year. Oh, he does. For Hayden, listen, I actually loved Hayden when he was at Newcastle. I think that injury against Brighton he had on lockdown actually killed his career. He hasn't been the same since there. He looked horrible for Newcastle when he came back. He's been on a loan move from Norwich. He said he had loads of injuries with his Norwich. I remember seeing a post from like halfway in this season. He had like a massive paragraph going through how upset he was. He got injured again. Felt like he was letting the club down. It was it was horrible. Really, I felt really bad for the guy. Unfortunately, that's just what's happened. I think he's just had loads of injuries. Probably that stage of his career now where it's most definitely winding down. I think sometimes as an athlete, a professional, you just got to hold your hand up and go, well, I can't do this anymore. And I think that's probably the sort of situation we've got ahead. And listen, fair play to the guy. Mike Ashley's fault. He's offering a stupid contract. Hayden's going to sit there for 2 more years and get paid these 60 grand a week or whatever it is. I can't blame him for that. I would do the exact same in his position. So he'll sit in the club for 2 more years, get paid an absolute fortune, and I don't think any of us fans can blame him for it.
Yeah, and then I'm going to touch on some more players that are in the last 12 months of their contract, kind of what we do. So we touched on Trippier, we've touched on Wilson. There's a few other names here. Some of them I never expected. The first one being Longstaff. Now, I always would get worried if you were in the last year of the contract. Now, he's a homegrown player. Big financial fair play if we sell him, sort of thing. So for me, letting him leave for nothing seems a bit bonkers. Or should we be looking to tie down Longstaff to a contract? And would he be interested, knowing that Tonali's kind of come in and he's dropping down? Boyhood.
Well, 100% we should be offering a new contract. I know some people might be against that, but he's a massive player for PSR sales, even in a selling point of view. But I like Longstaff. I'm a Longstaff defender, I would say. I think he does a lot of the dirty work. I think he is a bit of a scapegoat, in all honesty. I think when you lose a game, you will always look at Longstaff with Baron Almiron. He's rubbish, he's crap, he's this, he's that. Now, I know Longstaff's not great, and I think Longstaff's issue is that the problem is he's in a midfield with Bruno and Joe Linton, and no matter what he does, he's always going to look the worst out of the bunch. So I feel bad for Longstaff in that aspect. I like him though. I think he's a good player. I think he has a lot of value at the club, even as a rotation player. I think you're 100% stay. You're offering him a contract. I think you'll sign it. Yeah, I like Longstaff. He does a good job.
Yeah, exactly the same for me. I think he's an above-average player for Premier League and stuff like that. Can definitely do a job. Even when the club progress, he would be a fantastic substitute to come on. He's got the legs to run around. Definitely for me, offer him a contract. Then we've got Dan Burn. Now, you would probably automatically say, oh, he's a great player and stuff like that. I've got the ages beside them. So he's 32 now. What would you do? Would you let him run his contract down? Do you think he's got another year in him? What do you think?
Definitely keep him on. I think he does a good job as a centre half. As you said before, I can't stand as a left back. Please do not go left back. But as a centre half, Burn has a lot of value there. Again, just like Longstaff, one of your local lads, proper grafter. He's one of them ones where you need these local lads at your club. They are the foundation of your football club. It's good. Offer them a contract extension. I think over the next couple of years, yes, you do have to potentially look at either offloading them or just looking to get someone better in these positions. But I think Burns at that stage of his career where he does a good job now. I think you'll understand that eventually he will have gradually be replaced out with the team. And he's a sort of player that I think we're accepted. So yeah, 100% I would keep.
Yeah, and then we've got Lascelles, who's 30 years old now as well. So next season, when his contract's up 31, what would you do? Would you cash in for him now? Obviously, we've got a big centre-back issue. We don't know what's going to happen with the rest of the transfer windows, which will probably determine the answer to this. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you just can't sell him, can you? It's like Wilson's injured. You can't sell an injured player. In terms of Newcastle, I think you'll go at the end of the season. I don't think we'll give him a new contract. If we do, it might be a bit of a Dummett situation where it's like 1 year. We'll stay there as a fifth, sixth choice player. I think Newcastle might potentially offer him actually is just to keep him there for one more season. But the reality is he hasn't got a place at the club anymore, does he? I feel bad for him because his ACL injury is probably going to have a big factor in him potentially not being here next season. But yeah, look at the reality once again that he is an older player. You bring him in just before the championship season to build him up. He's done a good job for what he's came in to do, but until 2024, we're going into 2015 or something. He's been here, it would have been 10 years, potentially by the time he's going to leave. So yeah, I think he's gone next season. Yeah,
it does. It seems a lifetime ago since we bought him from Nottingham Forest. For me, I think definitely keep him. I kind of wrote him off before he kind of got into the team due to injuries. He had a fantastic game against Haaland. He had a fantastic run where he looked very, very solid. For me, even if we do offer him another contract, maybe a 2-year contract, and possibly look to sell him once we were allowed to spend a bit more money. Obviously, we've got this transfer window where we've got gaps to plug. Next one will probably be the same. I think he's all right and can do a job, and he'd be probably happy to sit on the bench, I would imagine. But next is Fabian Shaw, who is 32, so he'll be 33 next season. Can Newcastle offer him another contract beyond 33 years?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Hey, you definitely nailed him down for a couple more years. I think you accept as well. It's been a weird one with Shaw because he's been here for so long as well. I think he was quite unhappy during the Bruce days because his form wasn't great. He wasn't getting the game time that he wanted. He playing in back fives all the time. He was quite unhappy during them, but I think since Eddie Howe's came, it's rejuvenated his career. I think he's really happy to be at Newcastle. 100%. I think he's staying. Like when they earn down to a contract, it worries me a lot of these top players that have got contracts running down, because all these players had to do was all of them could just put a hand and go, no, I don't want to stay.
Yeah,
and all of them could just walk out. But obviously that's not going to happen. A lot of the players are going to be happy to stay. Yeah, even if Newcastle's season goes bad, I still think Longstaff, Burn and Shaw all accept new contracts at Newcastle. Wilson, Trippier might be different questions, but again, I think Wilson at least probably would say yes.
Yeah, and then up next as well, I mean, we mentioned Fraser as well, but we've got Kraft on the list here. He's 30. He's probably happy to be a substitute, in fairness. I mean, he's might get some game time. We'll touch on the Bournemouth preview in a little bit, but are you kind of seeing him happy to stay around? He's still got some years in the tank.
I think Newcastle fans are so harsh towards Kraft. Like, he does a job when he comes on.
Solid, yeah.
He's Southampton, got a red card. He has to come on without being told they are on straight away. Oh, he's quality Kraft. I thought he looked really good in the hour that he played. A lot of pressure on us against Southampton. I know Southampton statistically are going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but Kraft is a job, especially as a rotation
player. He's
player.
out of position as well, you know. He's a natural right back. He's been asked to play centre back, and he's still keeping the consistency up.
Well, yeah, when he is an international player, you got to remember. The problem I have is it's not with fans. Like, it's the same every football team, but everyone thinks that every player or club has to be a superstar. It's just not how it works. You need some players there that are going to be the weaker of the bunch, I guess, that are going to be there as rotation players. Kraft's good at what he does. I would 100% offer him a new contract. I think he's quality.
Yeah, and then we got Dubravka, who's 35. Now, obviously, keepers can have a bit more longevity. He'll be 36 when his contract runs out. We're going to have that Nottingham Forest keeper that we got fetched in. He possibly is understudy. From what I understand, he might be loaned out this season. You probably see how good or bad he is or whatever, and then maybe he's the natural progression of Dubravka, or do you think Dubravka will get another year or two?
Something's got to happen with the goalkeepers, and you can't have 5 goalkeepers at a club, so... Yeah, realistically, you probably sound right. Probably sounds like Vladimir Dimas might go out on loan. Or you have Dubravka as a second choice, which baffles me. I can't believe he's going to survive in our season. Then it's Ruddy and Gillespie, my word, at Death's Pro.
Ruddy's only on a year, in fairness, so that to me says we're not really...
Why do you even have I didn't understand that one. It's such a weird signing. But in terms of Newcastle... I think long-term, Vladimir Dimas might be all right. He's a backup. We only signed him, really, because Forest needed to sell someone. I don't even think Newcastle wanted him that much, in all honesty. But, yeah, in terms of goalkeeper situation, it's a weird one. I don't know what's going to happen, but Dubravka's 100% gone next season. I would have thought he would have went this season, but it looks like he's going to stay on, which I thought was mad.
Yeah, and then we've got Jamal Lewis as well, 26. Probably not see him in a Newcastle top. I don't think. I can see him being sold this window. What would you do with him?
We've got some crap here. How are half of these still down for one more year, man? It's ridiculous. Lewis was a bad sign, wasn't he?
He's full of potential at the time, because I remember when we signed him from Nottingham, not Nottingham Forest, it was from Norwich. They had them 2 fullbacks were amazing. The right back was linked with Barcelona and stuff at one stage, and then Jamal Lewis was heavily fancied as well. It was a bit of a coup almost that we got him. He's just not hit the ground at all.
Well, yeah, he needed his time for Liverpool, but I think Norwich had an inflated price in Liverpool and him sorting the Newcastle for less. Yeah. So I kind of wish that Liverpool got him, because he's just not very good. It looks like Eddie Howe's sticking with him a little bit. I don't know exactly what he's going to do with Jamal Lewis, but he's played him quite a few pre-season matches. He's seemed to have had a lot of attention in the team, so I don't know if that's maybe Eddie Howe trying to coax the team into buying him and just saying, he can do this, put some money in for him. Because if you don't sell him in this window, then yes, 100% you're walking it through.
Because he's going to be on big-ish wages. He's not going to be a cheap one. We did sign him with a load of potential and stuff.
Our squad depth looks quite good though. Him being your 5th or 6th choice left back. I mean, he's not great, but I wouldn't say he's shockingly bad either. He's just not good enough for where we are now. I mean, yeah, it is what it is. It's this worst sign I think we've had in a good last few years, 100%.
Yeah, so there we go. So that's the full transfer special with Newcastle. We'll obviously know later on in the window exactly how it does, so we'll do a full review. Let us know your thoughts on everything we discussed as well. Very keen to get your feedback, and join us in the next video.
Cheers.